we have some transport driving outside. Sorry for the mic, I need to put it a little bit more up. All right, now it's better. I see you guys in the comments. I have like 2 monitors. I see your comments, but for now I will not respond to them. I want to make the situational recap of the military maps of what happened for the last week on the front lines, and discuss with you political issues and what is happening around the world. And we're gonna make it in some sort of the conversation. So guys, welcome, greetings to everyone. I just want for you to tell me, how is the sound? Is it okay? Is it bad? Is it good? Yeah, bikers will... It's like this, the kids there, after 14 years old, they can drive those crazy mopeds here, and they go full in. Sound is good. Okay, thank you guys. So it means that we should start. I'm gonna go to the map. And here the situational update for the last week recap. We're gonna go to the most interesting point from all of the front lines. I would say it's the Pokrovsk direction, and there Ukraine still keeps initiative. The last time Ukraine advance happened in Kotlane. However, I may admit that for the last 7 days, the intensity of the Ukrainian attacks slowed down gradually. So a couple of weeks ago, Ukraine was really on a full-scale counteroffensive operations. From the Pokrovsk direction, Ukraine advanced towards Dachansky over here. In Shevchenko, Ukraine went in, taking, let me check, taking the central part, deploying the forces. There were some of the vehicle lost for Ukrainian army. Unfortunately, one is here, as far as I remember, one is here. So yeah, Ukraine tried to get the village, but still partially it's been controlled by Russians. However, they control less area than before. And yeah, the recent advancement happened in Kotlane. Sorry. But here Russians, I think it happened 2 weeks ago, Russians counterattacked. They retook this road and part of the road. But later on, Ukraine offensed from... I'll use black color for you to understand. Later on, Ukraine advanced from Udachne, expanding the gray zone and pushing Russians away. So the northern part of Pokrovsk direction is still... Well, Russia lost initiative here, and they withdraw their forces also from this direction, from Udachne, but they tried to counterattack in Uspenivka. Here they took some of the ground. And let's go for update. Like we have 27th now, let's go to 19th, all right? And let's go for the speed, and let's play it. So that is what was happening. Yeah, Russia attacked, by the way, on the south, but in here... there is no change, but the fight isn't going there in this area. Like there is almost no change. Like Russians, as I said, to withdraw from this area. Something happened in Shevchenko as well, but mainly, like there is no significant update for the last week. However, Russia moved. I call it Kurakhiv direction, so it's on the south from Pokrovsk. Kurakhiv is here. It was taken by Russians a long time ago already. And let's check out this direction over here once again. A 1 week recap without play, just gonna check update. So 1 week ago, and it is today. 1 week ago, today you may see that Russia fans, they've took those fields, this road under control and moved over here. And some people say then that in this region, the idea for Russia is to move to the border with Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. So here's the border with Dnipropetrovsk. It goes here, and the distance from it, let's check out. Yeah, you will not see it behind my image, but it's roughly 6.5 kilometers to this tree line, and could be 6-5 kilometers to reach Russian positions and gray area. So yeah, actually it's not that far away. From the tactical perspective and from the battlefield itself, it doesn't matter where to fight. In Dnipropetrovsk Oblast or in Donetsk Oblast, like there is no visible wall and you will not find the difference. On the road, you may have some of the road sign that you are entering Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, but, mentally, Russia may tell, okay, we're now in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukrainian army is losing, and they might share their propaganda that they, went to one more region of Ukraine. De facto, it means physically nothing, but from the political perspective, yeah, it means a lot, and Russia might use this factor also to demotivate some part of the Ukrainian society, and also to cause some of our friends to tell that, oh, Ukraine is losing, Russia now entered Dnipropetrovsk region, but they're very close to it, and they do everything possible to enter Dnipropetrovsk. There is no military goal, like those are just fields. From the tactical perspective, it's nothing. But Russia insisted on this advancement towards one more oblast in Ukraine just from political point of view. So they're not focused on Pokrovsk for now any longer. Somehow they deflected their attention to move here in those vast fields with just tiny little settlements. So for them it would be obviously better to advance in this area. By the way, they tried to do it towards Kamar, Novi Kamar. Novi Kamar is here, towards Kamar, and to cut, for example, this supply road for entire Ukrainian group in this area, but they're not doing it, because for them the importance, because the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast is far away in this stage, and here it's closer, so let's go and try to get to Dnipropetrovsk Oblast with our motorcycles and crazy civilian cars full with this Mad Max style, sometimes even scooters, by the way. So yeah, that's the goal of Putin. This war is not about tactics or strategy. This war is about populism and some sort of the political profit of a Russian dictator and a Russian elite in general. So yeah, as for me, it's crazy. Let's go to Toretsk. So here, actually, Russia follows some sort of the tactical advantage. They have tactical advantage over Ukraine, especially in this region, southwest of Toretsk. And here the goal is understandable. They want to take this road and to go to Konstantinovka. They want to advance to this kind of the big settlement. Let's go to the satellite image. I want to show you. So the settlement, as you may see, it's kind of big. And it goes from Konstantinovka to Alexeyevo-Drushkivka to Drushkivka, then it goes Kramatorsk, and then it goes Slavyansk. And there is almost like no gap between those cities, tiny little gaps. One city, one small town goes from one to another. By the way, there is the airport, the small one, airfield. But it is not in use, I guess. It was bombed many times because Russia attacks Kramatorsk. Maybe it is used for something, but yeah, so Russia wants to go from Chasiv Yar, from this side, and also from Toretsk, it's better for them, or maybe from this road, to attack Konstantinovka from two directions. It's their usual tactics. That is what they want to do. And for the last week, I definitely saw the advancement of the Russian army here in this area. They wanted to go mostly from the south now. Let's go for data. It happened 1 week ago, so 1 week. Sorry again for the sound behind my window. And it is right now. So 1 week ago, and it is right now. I can see also the expansion of the gray zone here. Russia also launched the sabotage group, so it's not their big advancement, no. They just advance with their forces, trying to look for, I don't know, for what they were looking here, striking deeply into Ukraine with small forces, but they were demolished there. So, but they moved, so on military map we have this extension. And once again, the full picture, here it goes. So they went to Tarasovka, they went from Kalinovo over here, they created many of those small pockets, like for example we have here, and near Nelipivka village there is one more pocket for Ukrainian army, so Ukraine will withdraw the forces, I expect, in the coming future from two of those directions. So two big pockets, one here and one is here. This is more important because the Ukrainian army definitely keeps for now forces in Nelipivka. Here, well, those are just fields, and Ukraine may easily move out of this area. The weather allows now to use field roads and basically fields themselves to move, even with armored vehicles, BTRs, BMPs and everything. So you're not stuck in the mud. It's 100%. For now, the weather is pretty much okay. However, with the forces Russian army currently has, the goal for them to go to Konstantinovka, it looks kind of unreal, honestly. They need to cover lots of the distance here. The terrain is very difficult. You may see how it looks with this terrain difference. And by the way, should we check I'm gonna check out 3D map. Just a minute. Sorry, I got a little sick. Sorry for the voice, but anyways, I don't have the other option. I don't have the other throat. I will just open for you. Okay, this is the 3D map we have. The update here is a little bit different, but I just want to show you of their advancement. So here, Ukraine still in this pocket. It is a very vulnerable situation here. And one more pocket, as I showed to you. And Ukraine still resisting in this small village, Staraya Mykolaiivka. Okay. But terrain here is very difficult. So many rivers, one lake, water reservoir, then kind of the big village, which could be used for defense. And you can see kind of the big terrain difference as well. So Ukraine might use this terrain elevation for its advantage. Well, with the modern day war, the terrain advantage is not that critical, but still it is important. Like, it's not really critical, but it's important. You can see that this big lake is blocking the road for the Russian army for them to reach Konstantinovka. So Konstantinovka in a way is very protected from the south. So for Russia it would be like more logical to go from Chasiv Yar, from this direction. Especially we see a little descent of this area, but they decided to send more reinforcements to go just to the lake and to the high terrain where Ukraine has some certain advantage. Well, I would say for Ukraine it's very it would not be really hard to repel Russians from Konstantinovka, especially from the south. And Chasiv Yar, the part of the town, is still under Ukrainian control. So yeah, Russia keeps the advancement, they keep initiative in Toretsk direction, especially in this area. The Toretsk itself is here. So yeah, they want to get more ground somehow in this area. But with the current Russian tactics, with all of those motorcycles and everything, they are just unable to go in Konstantinovka in a nearby perspective. Like, they were not able to go to Pokrovsk, and here Ukraine actually repels Russian attacks already. And the terrain here is very flat compared to Konstantinovka. You don't have those water obstacles and so on. But they decided to attack Konstantinovka, to advance there. And we have the confirmation also from Ukrainian military commanders that definitely, Russia changed their strategy and they want to attack Konstantinovka. For what reason, it's really hard to tell. Now let's go again to the front lines update. Hope you can see everything. And let's move to Like, I will go to your comments after the military map review, then we're gonna go to the other topic of our video. For the last week, it was really calm in this area, not far away. I call it Lyman direction because the main settlement here is, after all, Lyman. It is a strategic point, strategic settlement on the way to go to Slaviansk, for example. And maybe I should go to satellite map. So Lyman. There was the fight for Lyman, actually. We reviewed it 3 years ago. How Russia took this, some neighbors we have. How Russia took this settlement. There was the really heavy fight, and the Russians decided to go from Lyman to Slaviansk. And there is this road which is leading to Slaviansk. And for them to cross, there are 3 of the bridges. One is the railway bridge and 2 standard road bridges, and this one is the highway. So at any moment, Ukraine may cut those supply lines for Russia. It didn't do it last time because, after all, it was the good decision because Ukraine advanced also using this bridge towards Lyman, and also from this side during the huge counteroffensive. Then Ukraine liberated almost entire Kharkiv region. Just look at those vast territories which Ukrainian army took or liberated. Yes, as I told you, we were so encouraged, and now, unfortunately, guys, we'll not see those kind of the operations. Why? Because Russia prepared their defense lines on their occupied territories. And back then, Russia wasn't really prepared for this, so Ukraine caught Russian military command off guard. And if there was no the Staroyskil River, or Oskil River, Staroyskil is something different, Oskil River, Ukraine could advance even from this northern area and liberate more territories. Well, the advantage is really huge, and, people forget about those operations nowadays, and it's kind of strange because, after all, Ukrainian army did a miracle, and by the time there was no really huge support of our allies. There were no Storm Shadow missiles as far as I remember, but Ukraine obtained some of the artillery systems, HIMARS, Humvees. So yeah, it was the military support, but it wasn't that huge as it happened later during 2023. And Ukraine tried to offend on the south with this counteroffensive, which we all were talking about, but apparently it wasn't that successful. Again, Russia built the defense lines, so Ukraine wasn't able to repeat this big attack. And actually, big counteroffensive of Ukraine in 2023 basically failed. And from that time, we witness just a light advancement of the Russian or Ukrainian forces. Russians moved from Avdiivka to Pokrovsk, Udachno maybe, or Kotlerivka, and the distance here is roughly 55 kilometers. Let me check. So the first distance from Avdiivka, 57 kilometers. But still, it's very short distance for 2 years of war. Zaluzhny resigned just before Russia occupied Avdiivka, and now he's representative of Ukraine ambassador in United Kingdom, and for how long? 2 years already. Then Russia started their Kharkiv operation, but again fell with it. So there is no change. Again, let's check out for me that's the Kupiansk operation of Russia. So for the last week, absolutely no changes. And let's go to Lyman again. For the last week, there was the change. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there was the change, a small one. Russians moved towards Nova village, but partially expanding the gray area, and they took this industrial complex, I guess, under control. So not far away from Lipovo, Nova. I hate those. Nova Mikhailivka also. Did they expand there? Yeah, it was 1 week ago. Then they expanded actually 1 week ago exactly. But here Ukraine went on a counterattack in Davydov. It was a long time ago, already 3 weeks ago. But Russians are standstill in their advancement towards Kupiansk. And let's go here, Belgorod Oblast. Is it Belgorod? No, it is the Kursk region. Russia reported yesterday that they've liberated this area fully. And let's go to check it out. 9th, and it's today. 9th, and it's today. So from the deep state military map confirmation or update, we still see that Ukraine controls the part of the Russian territory, but yesterday Gerasimov reported to Putin about complete withdrawal of, or how they say, demolishment of the Ukrainian army on territory of the Kursk region. And here Russians moved ahead in Novenki and Basivka, so towards the Sumi Oblast. From what I understood, Russia may proceed to Sumi. Also, it's the political move, because from the tactical and strategical perspective, for Russia, it would be better to concentrate their resources in the eastern side of Ukraine, not expanding creating one more hotspot in Ukraine and expanding their logistics. So Sumi, I would say it's just again the political operation of the Russian army. There is no even tactical goal here is absolutely absent. And I want to show you, we check out the 3D map. So here we go with Sumi, and that's it's where this map is kind of slow. It needs the time to load. So the terrain here is also difficult, you may see. Yeah, I would like to see that wall in the real life, but sorry, it doesn't exist. That's the bag of this military map, and somehow they're not fixing it. Where is Sumi? Sumi. Megorodka. Are we in a proper place, really? Yeah, Sumi is here. And the Russians... It shows like Russians already liberated the land, partially. Oh no, this is Aleshna. Yeah, it shows like the presence of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Russian territory. Partially, but... yeah, not fully, just the gray area. And you see how difficult terrain here in the Sumi region. Russians need roads here for their advancement. There are some of the swamps, hills, rivers, so it's not like fighting in Donetsk Oblast. Ukraine is very big, Ukraine is very different. You have forests, you have different of the stuff. So I would say that this operation will have the same destiny as the Russian operation assault in Kharkiv, where they basically bogged down in those two areas. So yeah, they were even repelled from part of the Volchan, so I don't see any sort of the perspective for the Russian army in the Sumi region, at least with the current army state they have. So Sumi, and also Ukraine was able to build some of the defense lines. Russians were not able to take Sumi city under control in 2022. However, as you can see, judging on this green area, that they were very close to Sumi. Partially their sabotage groups entered the city, but somehow Ukraine was capable to resist, and the same thing actually, or similar one, happened to Kharkiv. So the northeastern part of Kharkiv, it just defended the Kharkiv city itself. So it was again, we have the situational update in Zaporizhia direction. I just forgot to mention it. Let's go for updates. It was 1 week ago, and it is today. Just a little advancement of the Russian army towards this road not far away from Kamensk. Again, 1 week ago and today. Few meter advancement, but in general, Russia used many of the forces here, and they moved for the last month just for a few hundred meters. And for the last week, it was understandable that the Russian, their planned attack for the spring campaign of 2025 just basically failed. They tried to concentrate huge forces, making those big, long convoys It was understandable that they sent many of the BMPs, MTLBs, tanks, and other vehicles to attack missions, and they attacked in multiple of the directions. But all of their attacks basically failed. Somewhere they expanded the gray area, somewhere they got just a few meters off the ground, but mainly their forces were annihilated. It has never been like that but it wasn't like that for a very, very long time, since the last year, as far as I remember. Then Russia also assaulted with their huge mid waves, but at least they gained lots of the territories. Like with the losses, they were gaining lots of the regions, settlements, villages, even towns sometimes, wasting their army for something. But now they waste their army for nothing, for a couple of the fields, couple of the roads, but the losses for them are crazy. And probably they understood that they cannot waste their resources so much, and they decided to stop those huge mid-wave attacks from now on. And for the last week, we see the complete change of the Russian army tactics. They now assault with the small forces, and in a way, it could be even more effective for them. So not more than 3 vehicles, actually, I saw the last week in their attacks. Yeah, they use like, moped or motorcycle. They attack with 3 vehicles. For example, if their attack fails, they go again and again. So totally they use the same amount of the vehicles, but they do not gather those in a huge groups. The idea maybe for Russia to restart the attacks in those huge groups came from one of the Russian generals, who is kind of close to Gerasimov, and maybe it was the guy who was eliminated by Ukraine in Moscow. So I think it was really his decision, because he was responsible for planning of operations in Syria and in Ukraine. In Syria is no more, so he was responsible for this entire operation, and maybe he was even set up. I mean, this assassination was set up by Russian military themselves, because the guy wasted lots of the potential of the Russian army, actually. So yeah, for Ukraine, it's the win, moral win, political win, and it's good that Russia is losing their generals, but Russian generals, they're not competent, as we may see. And about General Popov, by the way, who wanted to go to command Storm Z battalion, and there was the information published in the Russian Telegram groups that, oh, he'll fight once again, he'll command their ex-prisoners in Donetsk direction. Well, he was rejected with this proposal, so Putin still afraid of his generals, including General Popov, who actually saved Russian army. He was deployed in Zaporizhia direction back in 2023 with his paratroopers from Pskov. Ukraine, by the way, tried to kill some of the losses for those Russian paratroopers, but nevertheless they were sent to fight there, and they stopped. They and the Russian defense line altogether, they stopped the advancement of the Ukrainian army in 2023, and that is how Ukraine counterattack basically failed that year. Well, Russia detained, imprisoned, and arrested their best commander, I would say, General Popov, just because he told a real picture of what is happening in Russia, and in a way he supported Prigozhin with his military coup, which didn't last for a very long time, but nevertheless, they all sang the same song as General Surovikin, General Popov, Prigozhin. They all were in so-called opposition to Putin. They're Z bastards, the same as other Russians out there in military command, the same bastards as Putin, for example. They all hate Ukraine, but the thing for us, the good thing, that they were in opposition to Putin, and they had some of the power. military power at first, but Putin was scared of it, and that's why he detained Popov, and he was rejected, and he would stay in prison. I think he got like 5 years for some sort of the money laundering and corruption schemes in the Russian army, and he was not really involved in that. Z patriots write about it. Some of them even scream that what the attitude we have, towards our best commanders. Yeah, that's the Russian peace. And now we have the church with the bells. Okay, sorry guys about the sound. So, yeah, that's the attitude of Russia towards their best patriots, best commanders. And for us it's good, because Putin keeps just loyal people around him. And loyal people, usually they are not really that competent compared to professional people. It's the same stuff as with Donald Trump and his team. He also keeps loyal people like Pete Hegseth, crazy person Elon Musk. There are some of the clashes now between president's office and Elon Musk. What else? Tulsi Gabbard. So I would say the most competent people in Trump's team are probably Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz. Sorry guys, I need to close the window because they my neighbors let the kids outside, and it will be crazy. They scream like hell, like small devils. Stand by. Phew. Luckily we have good windows here, but yeah, the kids, they're like, they go full in, and their playground just below my window. It is crazy. I'll have nothing to breathe now. I don't have the air condition. The room is very small and closed, and in a while I'll be sweating, but I don't have the other option. Yeah, that's why sometimes it takes me lots of the time to film and record my videos, and for this live stream you'll see that I'll be small devils, yeah. For this video, yeah, I'll be exhausted for sure. So yeah, Russian army just still keeps incompetence. And now guys, we're gonna take the break to check out your comments. Maybe you have something to say about the frontline recap for the last week. As you see, there is no huge change in the frontline direction. Ukraine was able to stop the Russian army assault, and I don't know why Donald Trump and his team and Putin are pressing Zelensky really for some sort of the giving up Ukrainian territories just like that, because there is no huge military pressure on Ukraine now. Compared to what it was before, like Russia is still moving forward sometimes, but in general there is no like what it was happening even a few months ago. Remember to keep your hours out, Dennis. The 73rds don't fly on their own. I've lost 77s. Okay, I lost my 76 rating as hours lapsed. So it's sad to hear that you lost your rating, but I think you can restore that, Russell. And thank you so much for generosity, for your support. There are not many 767s flying, but it's a good airplane. I definitely think 767 is awesome. One of the best Boeing ever made. Maybe gonna go to your previous comments. Dennis, what deal Zelensky make with Trump? Well, based on the information coming, and yeah, let's speak about political topic if you ask this question. So the last week was very big for political news. First of all, those were connected with the Russian strikes on Ukrainian territory. They launched the attack on Sumi before. They continued to strike Kiev. So the Kiev attack happened, I think, on Monday or on Tuesday. Don't really remember. But there were some casualties, like 10 at least. And up to 100 people were delivered to hospitals. Again, kids were unalived by Russian missiles. And Russia, for the first time, on Kiev, especially for the first time, they used North Korean ballistic missiles. Before, they used those against Kharkiv. But now it was the capital city of Ukraine. And that triggered some of the journalist questions towards Donald Trump. He was asked straightforward in Air Force One on board of the Boeing 747 that you tell that Putin is ready for negotiate, but he's striking Ukrainian cities. What is your reaction? And he told that it was like a big mistake of Putin. It was his mistake, yeah. And for me, it's strange, like, what mistake? Because Russia strikes Ukrainian civilian infrastructure deliberately. Those missiles, they do not deviate from their targets. They are very precise, actually. Those ballistic missiles, Russian cruise missiles. Yeah, before, like in the very beginning of the war, Russia hit random targets, but now it's not anymore. Russian gliding bombs are also very precise. In Kharkiv area, they use those a lot. And yeah, that's how Russia, their tactics of terror of Russia, they want to force Ukrainian society to feel absolutely unsecured, no matter where you live. In Lviv, Uzhgorod, Kiev, Russian missiles may reach you anywhere on Ukrainian territory. And the only way to cope with that fear, to get out from this terror, is to agree on Russian demands, to give up your territory and join this Russian world and, forget your ancestors, your roots, forget that you are Ukrainians and join this huge Russian peace. And basically you'll be slave to Russia as our ancestors, again, grandparents, parents were slave to Russian Empire. Then we were really the slaves for Russians, as well as Russians, by the way, they were always slaves for their elite. Then slavery in the United States of America was canceled. There still was in Russian Empire, actually. Then in Soviet Union, how the government took away Ukrainian passports, how they forced people to go to villages for the agriculture needs of the country, how they confiscated everything. Private ownership was completely seized. Religion was seized almost fully. And people were working for someone. And later on, Russians or Soviets, it's better to say that time, they took away everything, like food even. There was the famine in Ukraine, a huge one, artificially created by Stalin. So, do we really want to return to those times? I don't think so, because Russia would do to Ukraine the same stuff as they do to Chechnya. So they put some sort of the local king, as Ramzan Kadyrov, for example, with unlimited power, who does the terror against his own people. And Russia will use the resource of the country, not just minerals, not just oil and so on, but they also use Chechens in their war against Ukraine. They're sending them to fight. And yeah, Chechens, Ahmad battalion, not the Chechens. Chechens are actually good, but Ahmad battalion, they're bastards. They're fighting usually behind the front line, but still they have casualties, especially in the Kursk region. And sometimes they were imprisoned by Ukrainian army as well. So do we really want the same scenario for Ukrainian army, for Ukrainians in general? If Russia starts one more war against, I think, Baltic countries, because it is possible, really. I think the next step after Ukrainian war will be the fight for Baltic countries. And that's why Ukraine will never agree with that. With demands of Russia. But somehow, via Vitkov, Russia convinced Donald Trump that Trump should push Zelensky for negotiations, that we should recognize Crimea and so on. But it will not happen. Like, I don't know what it should be for Ukraine to give up those territories. Maybe, as I told in one of the videos, the capital city of Ukraine, Kiev, should be encircled by Russia. And only that is how maybe they gonna force Ukraine to give up some of the territories. But there is no like military imminent defeat for Ukraine. And recently, the Minister of the Foreign Affairs of Poland, Sikorski, told about it, that there is no like military condition for Ukraine to surrender its territories. So what they're telling, I mean, Donald Trump in his crazy posts about Crimea and Putin is absolute nonsense. Like, it is, Putin is using Donald Trump as his weaponry to push Ukraine. So instead of his army, which is pushing Ukraine, which could push Ukraine, and now it's not doing that because Ukraine mainly was able to stop the Russian army advancement. But Putin switched to Donald Trump. That's why he was really sad. Then the last week, Donald Trump said that he wants to leave negotiations, because in that case, Putin will be out of that tool. For Putin, it's important to continue the war and in parallel continue the negotiations with the American side. That is the goal of Putin. And he reaches like two goals with that. First, he uses Donald Trump in his own favor. And second, he just washes Donald Trump's hands with blood of Ukrainians, continuing attack on civilian infrastructure. So yeah, at the beginning of the week, Donald Trump was fully convinced in that madness, but after meeting 2 days ago, which happened on the funeral of Pope Francis, he was convinced by Zelensky even, after their 15 minutes conversation, that maybe Putin is playing with Donald Trump, that maybe it's very bad to attack Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. And Russians confirm themselves that they attacked civilian infrastructure. Putin himself said that we attacked Sumi, we attacked Kryvyi Rih because there were some of the military, but de facto there were just civilian casualties. And in Kiev, obviously there was no any military. So Zelensky went to Kiev, he showed everything, he showed demolished buildings, and he told from that sightseeing that Ukraine will not give up Crimea. Ukraine will not give up its territories, no matter what Russians are doing. But we need freaking Patriot systems. And Zelensky already told Donald Trump that we're going to purchase those. We have some funds, And I would better include that in mineral deal if Donald Trump really cares about money. The approach is very different, like from Donald Trump and from Putin. Putin doesn't need money. He's probably the richest person out there in the world, and he doesn't want Russia to be a prosperous country. He wants it to live in poverty because it's very easy to control people who live in poverty. You can pay them, you can print rubles, millions, billions, give them to those Russians who watch the Russian propaganda, and they would be sure that they can earn some money going to Ukrainian front lines. But de facto, no. And could you do the same with smart people? No. And with like more or less middle class people? No as well. So for Putin, it is very profitable for Russians to stay in the poverty, in the condition they are, for them to go to the Russian prisons, because from the Russian prisons they might go to Storm Z battalions, for them to drink vodka, because if they drink vodka, they could be even kidnapped by Russian officials. Yeah, it is happening in Russia. Like, they kidnap those alcoholics, hobos from the streets. It is the known fact. And later on, some of their relatives, like, if they have relatives, they search for them and they find those in Ukraine, also in Ukrainian prisons, because Ukraine publishes openly the information of whom Ukrainian army was able to imprison. So the situation for Russia will not be improved. And Donald Trump's idea is to build the business together with Russia. Mutual exchange. Yeah, Russia would like to lift the sanctions from its oil, but Russian economy is all about oil. They mostly sell resources, gas, oil, but the gas price is also connected to the oil price. So in a way, the Russian economy is really dependent on oil prices. For now, the drop of the oil prices is not that critical for Russia, but it could be if there is the huge economic crisis out there in the world, which Donald Trump also could start or has already started. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see. So they have like totally different ideas. And for Russia, for Putin, his idea is to restore the Soviet Union. He died actually with the Soviet Union collapse in 1991. His entire career in KGB, his life it all was crossed with the Soviet Union defeat, and he perceives that defeat as his own personal one, and he wants to return back to those times. Then everyone was scared about Russia. Russia was not like humiliated as his thing with humanitarian support from the United States of America. And he is built like that. He grown up in the Soviet Union as the part of this really punishment mechanism, KGB, and his friends are the same, all from KGB. And for them, Donald Trump is like one more commerce guy whom they use in their own favor. They have more experience in brainwashing people, in lying, in achieving their goals no matter what. And Donald Trump, what experience does he have? Like, he was the president, but was that presidency really good for the United States? Yeah, there was the COVID, but after all, it wasn't that great. I mean, in general, for America. It wasn't like golden age. And now, do you really think that it is a golden age for the United States of America with all of those tariffs and economy dropping, the stocks going down? I don't think either. So Donald Trump is not competent in those international affairs, but his previous team, like Tim Bolton and others, like his vice president Pence, who was really competent compared to Donald Trump. There were at least some balance in the previous, in the first Donald Trump's term. But now with his dream team, they all praise Donald Trump. Sometimes I'm very surprised, guys, about this attitude. It is similar to Kim Jong-un praising, like, our president, he is like a sunshine. Everyone should pray for Donald Trump. And for me, it just looks awful because it looks like total dictatorship, you know. And if you say something wrong, like according to MAGA, and something against Donald Trump and his decisions, you'll be marked as, I don't know, DII, woke, what other terms they use against you. You'll be called lefty, and so on. So that's crazy what is happening in USA under Donald Trump's. And my idea here that the guy is not really competent, and he built this time not competent team. And those competent members, 1-2 maybe he has, like Marco Rubio, he's not using for the purpose. Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State of the United States, so equivalent of Lavrov in Russia, so the Minister of the Foreign Affairs. But who does everything? All of the foreign affairs stuff? Freaking Vitkov, who is not the official part of the United States Trump's team. He's just a friend of Trump who is going somewhere for talks with Russia, with Iran. He is everywhere with Israel, Hamas, and his idea is that he is like the best out there to negotiate, but actually it's not like that. And from his interview to Tucker Carlson, we understand that he really pulls full in for the Russian propaganda. He repeats everything. As I said in my video, he's just like, it seems like he's the translator of the Putin's words from Russian into English. He repeats everything. Like Ukraine should give up its territories, even unoccupied regions, that the referendum was legit out there, which Russia, like, how can you do, like, I'm gonna switch to the map. How can you do the referendum here in Zaporizhia, occupying just the part of it? Zaporizhia is where roughly 700 up to 800,000 people live. It's really the big city. And Russia, without even getting close to the city, announced that it's their territory. Like the most of the people who live in Zaporizhia Oblast, they live in Zaporizhia city, like the most of them. And how can you call this a referendum legit? I don't have words to describe what incompetence is going out from Vitkov and from Donald Trump himself. If they want really to confirm and legitimize the Russian referendum over unoccupied Ukrainian territories. Russia did it, I don't know, just to escalate. They put those lands into their constitution, but other than that, it was really a stupid move done from Russia. Now they're also stuck because Putin cannot say, okay, we're gonna announce peace, our army is not, the real reason that the Russian army is not advancing, so let's call this for now stop, there will be the ceasefire, but Putin cannot do it, actually. In front of his people, he would look like a weak person, really. All of the Russian propaganda was working that we're going to return Zaporizhia, we're going to return Kherson. Those are our original territories. So how can you press the brake pedal right away, saying that your recognized territories will stay under Ukraine? And Donald Trump also said that Zaporizhia nuclear power plant should go for Ukraine at first and then to the control of the United States, and they will sell nuclear energy, like electricity basically, nuclear energy. Electricity they will sell to both sides, to Ukraine and Russia. But today Lavrov said that they already do not agree on that scenario, that Zaporizhia nuclear power plant will belong to Russia, and they say that it is now in good hands. Yeah, we know those good hands. Then Russia burned some of the tires, rubber tires inside the cooling tube, the cooling tower of one of the reactors, just for the picture to be shared on media saying that Ukraine attacked that stuff, but it was just a provocation of the Russian side. Yeah, probably I talk too much, guys, but Donald Trump changed his opinion just 2 days ago under President Zelensky, who convinced him that probably Putin is playing with Donald Trump. And yeah, actually I was really surprised with that post that Donald Trump wrote, that probably Putin is really doing that. But do you really think that Donald Trump has some lever acting on Putin, some magic trick to cause Putin to stop the war? I think if there was this kind of the thing, the previous administration of the White House would use it. From what I see, the only option is to continue the support of Ukraine. That's what I see. Maybe I don't know lots of the stuff, but all of other options are just basically absent, as for me. Sanctions, Russia doesn't afraid of that any longer, and they still have partners, China, India, to trade with, other countries as well. So it's not about sanctions any longer. Trump may introduce secondary sanctions, but they'll find a way out, believe me. If there is the demand, there will be the proposal. And now let's go to your comments, guys. It seems like there was some sort of the super chat. I think if I missed it. Null BP, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for your report, and thank you for your kind support. And guys, yeah, in general, thank you for your great likes, your comments, your everything, your support on membership, on Patreon, on everywhere, because YouTube monetization is really crazy. Honestly, I feel a little depressed with the views I have. It's okay. I mean, I'm already 3 years reporting almost every day about the war in Ukraine. So what should I expect? People to watch me all the time? No, there is the peak, there is the downside. But yeah, I'm still very happy that we have this loyal audience. So people still watch me, and I'm very, very appreciating that, especially for you who joined me today on the live stream. I see by all chats financed rate unemployment within 4 years. Trump voters will wish they made a different decision. Jonathan, I agree with you. As graphics show, the disapproval rating of Donald Trump goes down. Like the disapproval increases, the approval decreases. As Jake Bro reports on his videos, I don't have like the date. I can search for it, but not during the live stream. That per week Trump is losing 1% of support, which is quite a lot. And in equivalent of the people, it's more than 1 million people per week. So if there are elections conducted right now, Donald Trump would not be elected. Well, it depends against whom he might run, because the main reason actually for Donald Trump to win the previous elections was that there were less votes for Kamala than there were for Joe Biden. So if Kamala got the same votes as Joe Biden back in 2020, Kamala would win the elections. So it's not about Donald Trump who got more votes, no. He got the standard amount of the votes as he got the last time, then he lost elections, but there were less people who voted for Kamala. And the problem lies with Democrats because they don't have this candidate that would be such popular, such widely known in media compared to Donald Trump. There was the candidate like that, Joe Biden, but he wasn't really in his good age, I mean, productive age to be elected once again. So I think he would lose elections also if he run instead of Kamala. So it depends actually who Democrats would put, but I think Trump will lose the elections because he does a very bad job with the economy and it continued to decline. I think that mainly, like I have some speculation about it. I'm not saying that it's truth or not, but I think that Donald Trump does harm for economy for purpose. Sound is good. Okay, thank you. I think he does for purpose. He wants to really harm stocks and everything. He wants Federal Reserve to print more money. Because the last time that he was president, he already felt that. Then during the COVID time, Fed Reserve printed lots of the money and immediately stock market restored, like it was some time of prosperity in economy, but it was like the crisis measure. Yeah, dollar might go down. It will go down in this case. That's why Fed Reserve, they're keeping the same stake for the dollar, but Donald Trump wants to lower it and he wants to force them to print, not billions like it was during the COVID time, but we're speaking about trillions this time. And by investing lots of the new money which they may print to United States economy, this is how Donald Trump might, build something there. But it's very risky because if the crisis continues for the long time, which he created, and Fed Reserve would not print those funds, it is one-way ticket to the huge crisis. And that's why he now has clashes with the manager, the biggest manager of Fed Reserve. And Fed Reserve is the private company, which I think is after all good, because it doesn't depend on, the stupid policy which might come from American leaders who could be elected like Donald Trump. They have their own, separate financial stuff. And yeah, Donald Trump wants to print money to save American economy. And he created this condition for Fed Reserve to try to save it, but still Fed Reserve is not switching the printing machine on so far. maybe after it he would negotiate with those countries to cancel all the tariffs and leave some of the tariffs just on China. Because he sees the China is the competitor for United States, and really it's like that. So maybe, the tariffs was first of all to harm economy, to later on to boost it, saying that I've done it, I restored the economy, and also implement, some of the tariffs. I call them tariffs, sometimes sanctions, because I think it's the same. Sanctions, because causing other country to pay how many? 300% of. I didn't follow, the recent numbers there. It's similar to sanctions. The Federal Reserve will not bend a knee to Trump. Thank God. It depends. I think at some moment, Federal Reserve may not have the other option, and Donald Trump goes in open, direct confrontation with them, with Federal Reserve. So I think if economy will continue to shrink as it does right now for, 2-3 weeks, maybe Federal Reserve will definitely lower their stakes and they'll print more. So if you have money, that's why the gold is rising, actually, the price for gold. And it will lower the price of dollar. So the cost, or the volume, you may call it. That's why the gold price is going up. It's the record now, because people invest. They understand that Federal Reserve may start printing at any moment, that stocks are going down, so the only alternative to save your savings is to buy gold or other elements, platinum, Rolex watches. No, it's not a good investment. Eat the rich. Yeah, the problem, like in general, the problem for, I want to speak about it in my podcast on the other channel, because I have the other channel, it's my trash content, and I publish sometimes podcast there. And today, by the way, it's similar to podcast, guys. So idea that American economy is not, it's not shrinking, everything is fine, but the funds are migrating from the middle class to rich people, billionaires, not even millionaires, but billionaires. They're getting richer and richer, and middle class is just shrinking. There are more and more poor people out there in the United States, but it cannot continue like that under democracy, because people would not support that. And maybe this elite, they're looking to implement the same regime as is out there in Russia. Then there will be just a rich elite, and other people who are in general poor. Yeah. So maybe that's their idea. Lob killed, thank you so much for your support. Trump destroys the economy so his rich friends can buy assets to... Yeah. It's also like market manipulation. It's they're ripping the corner wires out of the house of democracy. Yeah. So, like decades ago, if you was working elsewhere, a random job, you would be able to buy a house or apartment. If you have kids, wife, they don't, like, your wife would not need to work. She could take care about kids, kitchen. I don't know. It's the standard, American family lifestyle. Then the husband goes to work, coming back. You have this 2-story building, a couple of the cars, some, grass in front of the house. And this American dream is going far away, really, now, because the price for everything of that is unaffordable with the wage people obtain working elsewhere. So you need to earn a lot, really, to achieve this American dream. And it's unachievable if you work for someone. Like for pilots is the high pay salary, but even there you should take the loan, depends on the state where you live. Somehow Texas is very cheap for apartments, I don't know why, compared to, let's say, Colorado, or we're not even speaking about California. But the price for average house in United States, I think it's close to $1 million. Like if it is really good house in a good neighborhood, close to $1 million for the same. That's crazy. And it's not just about the United States. Like in Europe, it's very similar now. I think we deviated from the topic a lot. I want to show you guys something. So, a couple of days ago, there was the fire erupted in Iranian port, and Iranian port fire under control after dozens killed unalive, actually. So the fire started in one of the ports. As media said, Iran tried to send some of the missiles somewhere, and they caught fire. Let's watch this video. I will, because it's YouTube, I will just show you some of the screenshots. So there was like this chemical smoke coming from deep inside the port storage, and you can see it looks like the firework. So maybe it is the rocket fuel, I don't know. And here you can see also the explosion was spotted from behind, and those small traces, those actually what we also witnessed then, the air defense missile kaboom, and here comes the huge fire. And it spread all around to other facilities of the port, and it continued for many days, and probably we can watch this one. So they also have those water bombers. It was Illusion 76, and you may see what happened to containers out there, goods. So not just missiles, I think, were there, but also like usual goods stored in the same port facility. It shows that Iran still exports their ammunition, probably for their proxies in Syria, Yemen, in Lebanon. They support those Hezbollah movement, Hamas movement, Syrian. Actually, they supported Bashar Assad regime, but there are still some of the forces which Iran continue to support, and obviously Houthis. There is communication now between United States and Iran, and they want to make some sort of the deal. And actually Russia plays the great role there as well. That's why after every visit to Moscow, you might spot it even 2 days ago, Witkoff went, or he goes usually, to Oman. The place is located in the Middle East, not far away from Iran actually, and there are meeting conducting between representatives of United States and Iran, and they want to make the deal. New Iranian deal, it called. The previous one was actually cancelled by Donald Trump, and he got power during his first term. I think it happened in 2018, then it was totally cancelled. It was a very bad decision. Since that time, Iran reinforced the production of its weaponry. It reinforced the search for obtaining the nuclear weaponry. They invested more into that program. And it was a very, very bad decision. Now Donald Trump wants to restore it, but on worse conditions to United States itself, and worse conditions to Israel. Israel actually doesn't support its deal. Bibi, so Netanyahu, the prime minister, said that it is not a good deal. And, people were saying that, Donald Trump at least support its ally Israel. I mean, those people who support Israel, they say Donald Trump is the good option for us. We don't care about Ukraine, but he will do everything possible to support Israel. But we see that Israel is looking at this deal as at something really weird. The same as in Ukraine, by the way. So Donald Trump is kind of strange. And by the way, then Bibi went to Washington. He met with Donald Trump. In front of Bibi, Donald Trump praised Erdogan. He said that Turkish leader is really smart, he's wise, and we should also listen to him because he is the strong person. He said it openly in front of Bibi, and you know the relations between Turkey and Israel, Bibi was looking really bad by the time. So Donald Trump, I wouldn't say that he really supports Israel. No, he's looking to support himself, and he wants, Iran to stop developing nuclear weaponry. But the current New Deal includes Russia also. And that uranium that was already almost reached, I don't know how to say it in English, the uranium which is almost ready for producing the nuclear weaponry, for it to be sent to Russia for storage during this deal. And as a backup, for Iran, if United States would again exit the deal, nuclear deal, Russia would send that uranium back to Iran. They want to make this step. And that's why Witkoff negotiates with Putin at first, then it goes to Oman negotiating with Iran about this possible movement. So it is they say to Iran, you give up your nuclear program completely, including with all of the materials, you send them to Russia. And instead, we're gonna lift the sanctions on you, you're gonna trade more openly, blah, blah, blah. But you should understand that Iran is not like a normal country. It's similar to Russia and North Korea. They have this spiritual leadership, which acts in contradiction with the interests of local people who live in Iran. They look not for profit for their people again. They look for the control of their people, and they don't want their people to live prosperous lives. No, that's the point of dictatorship, by the way. Gary, thank you so much for your generosity, for your great support of this channel. Thank you so much. That's my point of view, based on the information I receive. So Israel is against the deal because they understand that Iran hides their nuclear weaponry, not nuclear weaponry, but the strategic tools to develop it somewhere in the mountains. It's closed environment. They will never let international inspectors to check out those facilities. And at some point, it's almost imminent that Iran will make nuclear weapons. It is understandable. And the only option which Israel sees is to attack those facilities. So now there are two variants. To start the war against Iran with the ground forces, because no matter what weaponry you use on those nuclear facilities, some of them are in the mountains. All of those materials are in the mountains. You can strike part of them, but not all of them. So you need to deploy ground troops to enter those mountains, those bases, to eliminate everything of that. And it won't be easy. And let me show you something. Why this is also a bad idea, why we are in this state that actually we don't have lots of the options now. I cannot reach Iran with this map, sorry. Stand by, guys. Maybe we're gonna go here. Yeah, it's more or less okay. So here we have it. You may see it's the Red Sea here. The Red Sea is over here, not far away from Yemen. So Yemeni Houthis are controlling this area, and they're trying to block the way out for the vessels, for commercial ships to get through the Red Sea. But there is the Gulf of Oman here, and there is the tiny part between United Arab Emirates, partially Oman, and Iran, the tiny little part for those ships which might go from the Saudi Arabia, so they go from Saudi Arabia to export oil, basically. They go partially from this side, partially from this side for the huge oil export. This is one of the biggest countries out there for the oil export. So if there is the war start in Iran, first of all, it's not that the country is not that flat as Iraq. All right, even in Iraq there are some of the mountains, but there are many more mountains in Iran. So if we speak about the ground operation, it would be very difficult for the coalition forces or United States and Israel forces to get into all of the facilities without significant losses. And Iran will use the time to block, because it has lots of the weaponry actually. They'll try to block the way out for the Saudi oil. And for the Qatar oil, well, Qatar mostly has oil and gas, but they will block the way out for the export for UAE, for Qatar, for Saudi Arabia. They'll probably somehow call Yemen Houthis to block the way for the Red Sea. Yeah, they're going to block all of those ways. So there is the potential risk for Iran to do it in case of the special military operation started by Americans. Iran itself, I think it sells around 1 up to 2% of the oil in the world. So without Iranian oil, like, we can live. Saudis will just produce lots more oil on their own, as well as maybe Russia will produce more oil. But if Iran will be successful in blocking the way for the oil export, because there is no like underwater pipeline which connects, for example, China and Saudi Arabia. So you need lots of the vessels and tankers for the export. If Iran is successful by blocking that and this, oh my God, it will cause oil prices to jump, some experts say, to $300 or even more per barrel. Now it's around 60 for Brent and 50 for Urals of Russia. And imagine the price to be more than $300 just because of this special military operation. So I understand why Donald Trump tries to, why he wants to avoid this operation to be conducted, because there are huge risks. After all, Iran is much, much stronger compared to Iraq. Also, it might drop the entire region, Middle East, into instability. We don't know how Saudi Arabia might behave. Like, they're in confrontation actually with Iran. They have Sunni and Shia confrontation. It's the long story. But in general, it will bring this lots of the instability. Remember how after operation in Iraq, ISIS appeared in Syrian territory, in Iraqi territory. There are still some of the groups with that ideology. They still have weaponry. They just don't write the stories on media about those. And the same stuff might happen over here with Iran. So this region might drop to total instability. Now you have like dictatorship, and the story with the Russian support, and the story that Iran has its own proxies in Lebanon, in Gaza, in Yemen. It's very bad, but it could be like uncontrolled chaos, total uncontrolled chaos. But at the same time, if Iran obtains nuclear weaponry and it's on a way, straightforward way to reach that, he might strike Israel at any moment. And Israel, it's not big. It's very small. How many big cities are there? Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. No, they will not do it to Jerusalem, but there are just few of the cities, like few big cities. So couple of kabooms, big kabooms, not the Hiroshima style, but some different, would be really devastating for Israel. That's why it wants to avoid the development for Iranian nuclear weaponry the most. And they don't, Israeli, they don't really care. Like, they wait the potential oil crisis and the potential instability rise in the region, and they wait it with their own security. And I think they might strike Iran facilities even without coordination with Americans if there will be decision for it. And I think that they're very, very close to that decision. What stops them are negotiations with Iran. But how can you trust Iranian? It's the same as trust Russia. So there is the Slipknot. Slipknot is the name of the group. So dead end, I would say, in the decision making relative to Iran, because you cannot allow a regime to obtain nukes, and you cannot really allow the war to start, because it would bring our economy, which is already weak because of the Trump's tariffs. If the oil prices will go up, it will be disaster, guys. It will be like a great recession of 30s in America, but it will be worldwide mostly, which is very, very, very bad, my friends. And honestly, I don't see the proper way out at this stage. We'll see how negotiations will go between American representatives and Iranian representatives, but globally speaking, from geopolitics, this is the dead end situation. No matter what Iran does, it's still focused from its ideology to get rid of Israel as the country. So on its way, it will not stop. Even under this new deal, they will try to obtain nukes, and Israel understands that. So yeah, this region actually is the most profitable for the world if we speak about oil and gas, but it's one of the most unstable regions we have on our planet. This mix creates the huge potential bomb, which is ticking every day. You don't know when it explodes. It's really, really huge. And one more story, if we speak about geopolitics, is between India and Pakistan. Where is this? Islamabad, that's the capital. I think I should go. I didn't check out it. What really province? I understand it's Kashmir province. I think here in the north somewhere. Disputed territories between India and Pakistan. Most of the countries, they have nuclear weaponry already. Enough warheads to cause millions of lives to be lost if potential war erupts. And yeah, there was some sort of the provocation, 20 with something tourists. I think we should, I will Google it. Not Google, but I'll try to check for some information for me, just not to tell bullshit here for you. India. Maybe they'll tell us the latest news. India and Pakistan war, it already says. So Al Jazeera says that Kashmir attack updates. So there was the attack on tourists in Kashmir province, which now is being controlled by India. Officially, as I understood, Pakistan doesn't recognize the province as the Indian one, but de facto it's like that. By the way, there was the ceasefire which was signed between India and Pakistan a long time ago. But you may see what might happen if ceasefire is signed. After some time, the war might start once again. Here's what happened today. We're going to close in light of the attack. India and Pakistan have exchanged gunfire on the third successive night across the line of control, which separates Pakistan administrated Kashmir from India administrated Kashmir. So the region is actually divided between Pakistan and India. And there was definitely the fire. Yesterday I saw even some of the images with gun shooting. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says those behind the Pahalgam attack on Tuesday will be served with the harshest response. What does he mean? I don't know. The problem that India cut the water supplies, which I think is the bad move. Like you may tell, okay, Ukraine also cut the water supplies for Crimea back then it was occupied. I think it was in 2014. It was more like political move after all, because we understand that Crimea has its own water underground, so people will not suffer or starve or thirst there. So Russia obviously will just need to spend more resources to obtain that water, but people will not suffer. And actually it happened like that. People didn't suffer. Yeah, some of the agriculture products, like some of the fields went without any harvest because of the drought, which was created especially in the northern part of Crimea. But, for people, yeah, they lost some people lost some of the business. Russia has to supply Crimea with more products because Crimeans couldn't grow themselves some of the wheat, yeah. So it's just the load on the Russian budget more, but people were not like really suffering without any water. Here, I guess it's the other story. This water that was coming from, what's the name of the river? I think it's Indo River, one of the biggest ones out there. And where is it? On the north? Very bad in geography. So there was the river somewhere, and India decided to cut it completely. Maybe it is this river. I don't know. It goes from India to Pakistan. Maybe you tell me. Boris agree 100%. I didn't skip on. Thank you. The world continues to learn that the only things from history is nothing learned. Yeah, agree. But India-Pakistan war have been going for like 200. It had been going like it erupted a lot. Like it went to the really harsh state after Brits left this region and India actually formed and Pakistan formed. Before it was like one country, but Pakistan decided to separate. They have different religions, different culture, even though people look very similar, but those countries, they really, I don't know, they hate each other just maybe as we hate Russians and Russians hate us. Maybe that's the same scenario here. But the problem for them that they both have nukes. And I don't know what the situation is better. Like in Ukraine, for Russia just to have nukes, because if they use nukes against the non-nuclear state, everyone would blame them. So that's why they're not using that. But here, the countries, they have nukes, both. So potentially it might escalate even more. I think so, compared to Ukrainian scenario. So yeah, the situation there is not good. And I think blocking water supply to people who live in this not, I would say, good area for the water, for them to starve on purpose, I don't think it's a good idea after all. So I don't support India's decision to cut water to Pakistan. Just my telegram. 5 rivers, Jhelum, Soche, Indus. You meant to say Pakistan right? Shorter word is... I don't know who is right there. Dennis, I think Iran already has nukes. Not yet, officially not yet. Blinken last year said that Iran is up to obtain nukes, but they don't have them for now. Yeah, the move I don't like from India that they cut the water supplies. So to cause people to suffer, no. But still, I'm, guys, not really deep into this conflict between Pakistan and India, so I don't want to say a lot because I could be accused and really I'm in lack of competence, so I don't want to say a lot. Maybe we can read the news and that's it. India-Pakistan swap fire on the third day after Kashmir attack. So one provocation created. It could be the similar stuff as with Ukraine. So, for example, if Ukraine and Russia achieve the ceasefire, it might last for years and even decades, and then one small provocation will restart the war. That's why Zelensky is calling for the lasting peace. Actually, Russia is also calling for the lasting peace. So yeah, it's northern area. So there are some areas which are being in Kashmir area region. Some areas are being controlled by India, Pakistan, and I guess this is so. There is this triangle of China, Pakistan, and India. And I think Pakistan has really got support from China after all. And India has more, at least political support from the United States of America. I think so. And there's the river. What's the name?
Security has been bolstered near India's High Commission in Islamabad after huge protests reached its gates. Pakistan's people and its leaders strongly reject India's allegations that their country is behind Tuesday's attack in Kashmir.
We want to make it clear that there should be no war because the region is an atomic flashpoint. Right now, 3 nuclear powers, Pakistan, India and China, are all here. If war breaks out, more than half the world's population could be wiped out.
If the conflict does escalate, it could well be over water supplies.
Our one main peaceful demand was that since Pakistan is an agricultural country and its main focus is on agriculture, the Indus Water Treaty, which was signed between the leaders of India and Pakistan, should not be unilaterally suspended. This would be a direct violation of international laws.
The Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960 by India and Pakistan and mediated by the World Bank following disputes over the water that flows downstream.
Oh yeah, you see this river? And actually, yeah, in 1960s there was the treaty. Yeah, I read about it yesterday. And the water from the river goes all across the Pakistan, and it is critical actually for agriculture. So again, if we return with the Ukrainian movement to cut the water support for Crimea, Crimea is very small. Like Russia is big. They have lots of the agriculture, tons of rivers and resources. So it's just the increasement of the load in the Russian budget on their companies. And some companies actually earned even more because they supplied their products to Crimea, which usually are more, you can sell them more expensive out there, especially during the summertime. So some farmers, local farmers, they lost something, but Russian farmers, they gained actually from Ukrainian blockade of the river. But Crimea is tiny little, and it is connected now with Russia, and now Russia sends lots of the agricultural products. So the water cut was not really critical. It's like political move mostly. Here it is really critical because this water is crucial for the entire, from what I understood, the entire Pakistani agriculture sector. So it might create instability, also political instability inside the country, because people will not be able to grow their product, like their wheats. And yeah, it is a really huge cut for civilians.
From rivers in India into the Indus Basin in Pakistan, it split the Indus and its tributaries between the two countries. Over 80% of Pakistan's agriculture relies on this river system. India's suspension of the Indus
80% of agriculture relies on that. It's crazy.
This water treaty has infuriated Islamabad.
Any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan, as per the Indus Water Treaty, and the usurpation of the rights of lower riparian will be considered as an act of war and responded with full force across the complete spectrum of national power.
Experts are doubtful that India's current infrastructure along the rivers and waterways would be able to hold back huge volumes of water from flowing into Pakistan. But they believe they could develop ways to slow down or divert water flow into storage systems without informing Pakistan. Threatening the long-standing water treaty is potentially the most existential threat that India is using as retaliation. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi promised to hunt down every person responsible for the attack in Kashmir to the ends of the earth. His words being demonstrated by what is locally called bulldozer justice in Indian-administered Kashmir, where authorities flattened houses belonging to suspected militants. India accuses one of the men of involvement in Tuesday's attack.
I don't really understand that. So if they accuse, why should they destroy their buildings with bulldozers? Just arrest and take them to the prison and why? What? India does everything from what I see, from the first perspective, everything for Pakistani to hate them more. That's what I see. I'm not taking any kind of the side, but judging on this news source, go and destroy the buildings. That move is not democratic at all, I would say. Yeah, those countries, we'll see how it goes. For now, it's early, very early to say about it. Now, guys, it's time for your comments. I recently found a St. Denis Church in Worcestershire, UK. Yeah, it's not far away from Southampton, I think so. Thank you, Robin, for your support. Betsy, as always, welcome to my streams. Dennis, I haven't heard a long time that Ukraine has attacked oil depots in Russia. I think Ukraine tries to follow this, ban on strikes on energy sector, which was agreed before between Trump and Putin, actually. So Ukraine tries to do it. But there was the oil depot which kaboomed itself on Far East, as I remember. Then consider Kashmir as Donbass in Ukraine, with both sides having influence while the people of Kashmir itself want in. I see. For Arabic. I'll try to learn more about Kashmir. Then do you think Ukrainian conflict will end? Probably. In some years, I hope. I would like it to end today, but I'm a realist. I don't see any light in the end of the tunnel, even though, we all speak about ceasefire, but it's not coming. Moreover, the salaries and the money which Russia pays for the soldiers, then they sign the contract, this salary increases, the payments. It means that they want to hire more. The ski resort in Ukraine is being funded by private concerns, not the Ukrainian government before the war, expecting to be completed by 2022. It's continued. Why it's continuing now is anybody's guess. I don't know, it's the private company. Could you explain why you didn't mention Russia bombing Kiev? Kiev, you wrote weeks ago in your report. It looks like you didn't care the loss of your siblings at all. I will not answer that. You are stupid. Dennis, please don't drink in the mic. Sorry. It's crazy that humans are hurting each other, but yeah, that's to be. I'll put comments here just for me to see them in front. It's nice that you have Toretsk and still become president of the United States. Dennis, why such a big microphone? Happens. Yeah, I like it. It's not a microphone actually, it's the microphone system. It's big because it has the shock mount, and it's big itself. It has the very nice pop filter. I have the other mic with me, which I use, but I just decided to use this one for the stream. Mic fetish, yeah, I have it still. But I'm not buying microphones any longer. Like, I bought this one and it's the final solution probably. Together with this one. This is Lyman Audio, American made, fantastic microphone. I like the way it sounds, and in a way I feel that it could be even better than this one, but this is state-of-art system, you know. This is Austrian made, LCT, the film, Lyman Audio. No, this is Lyman Audio, and this is Lyman, yeah. Been interesting, yeah. So the next streams, like, I'm gonna make the streams. So we're gonna go for frontline recap for the past week. I like the microphone here using today. Yeah, it's fine, and it has a very nice pop filter. So I and you don't have this p sound, I hope, in your headset, or if you have the headset. So we're gonna review some of the stories. We're gonna make a weekly recap, and after it, in the end, closer to the end of the stream, I'm gonna answer some of your questions. It's gonna be like that. The thing Europe and Ukraine are or have been preparing for the United States disconnecting support and intel since the United States restarted support weeks ago. Yeah, Bill, I think so. Officially, Newman U87, yeah, it's a nice mic. Officially, Ukrainians are preparing for disconnection of the support. We have the leak about this information. It was leaked 2 days ago that Ukrainian officials really think that this support could be finished. Dennis, I hope many NATO countries will send volunteer troops to Ukraine. Per Eric, it depends, and depends on the region where they could be deployed. We don't know what it might happen. The India-Pakistan, like the Israel situation, similar to Israel. Okay, the British, yeah, they all were British colonies, by the way. British painted some lines in the wrong places, and house insurance. Yeah, 100% agree with you. Why they did it, no one knows. That's very expensive microphone. Yeah, that's a very expensive microphone. Any news about resistance fighters in occupied territories? No, unfortunately, no. Who is your favorite Spice Girl? Two. Green and blue. Have you been more and more airborne training in Europe? No, I don't have time for it. Could Ukraine launch their own satellites? No, just in cooperation with Europe. Ukraine had the satellite manufacturing before. I don't know if it is ongoing still. But yeah, the best satellites, if we speak about spy satellites, are out there in the United States of America. film Viceroy's House shows how the British Empire used to divide and conquer strategy in India. Then, when they were ready to leave, everyone hated each other. Probably yes. Like British Empire was really big out there, and now later on they changed the strategy and they shrink, but still they have the influence, economy one, probably it's better to say. But yeah, method of every empire which wants to expand is the same, like brutal barbarian methods for every empire. And the only this classical empire which we have now on our planet is Russian Federation. They need to expand to survive, let's say. Can you please spread the message that the Ukrainian army needs to create division command between each operational command and brigades? The lack of the structure is costing lives. Bramwell, I heard that there are some of the reforms started in Ukrainian army. It's not going very fast, but I hope they can handle that. For division commands, they create many of the not divisions, but they call it regiments from brigades, incorporating many brigades under the strongest one, so we have less, these branches on to implement command on the front lines, and they have like those brigades which are incorporated into regiments. They have the common strategy, common communication systems. And we see like every day, like Azov Brigade, Third Assault Brigade, they're expanding. And they, like, how to say, incorporate other brigades, let's say. Starlink that served in Ukraine is being on the incursion. No, I have like, my Starlink is registered in Ukraine, and it is working very well. Well, maybe it's working well in Europe, but at least they are not cut if they are Ukrainian. That's I know for sure. Will there be another update tonight? No, Betsy, no. Today is the stream day, and I hope that I will wake up in the morning, early morning, and I'll record the video, full update. We'll post it and you'll see it. The anti-drone batteries are prototypes and only have a range of 1 kilometer. Ukraine would need thousands to be effective. Haven't heard about anti-drone batteries. How to use them. Yes, Ukraine has very good intelligence. Yeah, we have also obtained intelligence information from our friends. That's why it's good. Well, that's the problem with the Ukraine is corruption. Every country has corruption. Do you think that there is no corruption in USA or some European countries? It's elsewhere. Like, I also posted the outcome of Zelensky's interview to Ben Shapiro. I don't like Ben Shapiro, but I agree with the outcome of his interview. He says, you might accuse Ukraine that it is a corrupt country, but our allies were always not perfect. We're not perfect ourselves. Our allies in Afghanistan were not perfect. Our allies in Vietnam were not perfect. But we withdraw from that, and who became the power there became the power is even worse for us. So our idea is to support Ukraine with its current state, and yeah. It doesn't matter if it has corruption or not. It's just an excuse not to support Ukraine. And Ukraine is on the way to fight with corruption. Ukraine was under Soviet Union and Russian Empire for decades and even ages. So it's not like you go out and you have like Switzerland or Sweden for corruption level. No. And they will always find something to blame the country for. It's the excuse not to support Ukraine, not the reason. It's the excuse. It's called organized crime here in Canada. Yeah. Like, can you call crime what Donald Trump did with the Trump coin and Melania coin? It's the total rug pull. They just took the money from people. Can you call a crime that Donald Trump manipulated with markets? I think it's even worse than corruption. Sweden is also yeah, it never goes fully. Like, you'll have the corruption in Switzerland, in Sweden, in Norway, at some certain level, yeah. That's just greed. I agree. Thanks, Betsy, for your comments. Dennis, thank you for your videos. Watch every day. Thank you. I enjoyed your podcast earlier. Glad you had a good time in France. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, the main reason for me to go to France is to film the video about the airplane, Elixir. And yeah, it coincidentally was the same time with Easter holidays, so I decided to go with the family. It was nice. I like France a lot. Especially south of France. And I'm going to fly there this year. I lost money on Trump coin. Come on. Are you joking? It's not just corruption, it's also how nation deals with it. And Ukraine is surely adapting to European Union standards in conquering corruption. Yeah, I hope so. It's still very big, but like, you cannot... there was the huge corruption in Singapore. Singapore was one of the poorest countries there. But they elected really a dictator who implemented, death penalty for corruption, who did really terrible stuff for those crimes. But he built a normal country. Like, Singapore is one of the best countries in Asia. But to do it, he needed to be a dictator, which is not possible for Ukraine. Like, you cannot implement those laws, crazy laws in Ukraine now to fight the corruption. You can only go like very, very long way. And to fight corruption right away, you need to do what that Singaporean guy, I forgot his name. I have it on my tongue. What was his name? Like, the president, I guess, of Singapore. You know for sure, so you'll tell me. I don't want to Google it. So there was the guy who fought the corruption in Singapore, really rose the country, but you cannot do it right now. In Ukraine, you cannot do it. Xian Longli, okay. Thank you. And the other way, like, is a very long way to fight corruption. It might take generations to do. Lee saying long. Okay. Do you know how many drones you can work with the control? Usually one. Lee Kuan Yew. Okay, Lee Kuan Yew, yeah. So the guy, he really destroyed corruption, but he was a really dictator with the measures he did there. And yeah, it's not possible to achieve any longer. I think now even in Asia you cannot do it. There was Duterte in Philippines, who has now been arrested. he tried to do the same, but he was just the leader of the clan. He wasn't that uncorrupt himself, no. He was just solving the problems in a very terrible way. Like Salvadorian president, yeah, Salvador is now way safer, but again, in Salvador, many people who were imprisoned just for no reason or are imprisoned. And the guy, who was illegally deported from United States, probably he's no more. So that's crazy. And honestly, I don't want Ukraine to fight corruption in this way. I like I also like live streams, especially then we communicate with you guys. Oh, greetings to Iran. Cheers, miss. Greetings. Thanks for your support. How's the gym going? I did a break, then I was in France. But hiking, still hiking. I bought the new hiking shoes. They're good. Adidas, blah blah blah. Some very light shoes. Ukraine has no time fighting corruption. Has to fight against Russia. Yeah, you can do it simultaneously. Especially during the war, then you find some of the corruption in a high military rank, like it happened with the previous defense minister Reznikov. I think you should really punish those. Start investigation and arrest, detain those. So for me, it was really strange that after the facts of corruption, Reznikov was... I think he even exited Ukraine. So Reznikov was a... Will you stop drinking cola? In USA, stops weapons delivery. If USA stops weapon delivery, no. I like cola. It's by the way, it's the best Trump's drink, and I like it also. It's the zero sugar cola with almost no calories, as well as this Monster Energy with also zero sugar. I like sweets. That's why to compensate the loss of sweets, I don't eat sugar now. But my brain still wants something sweet. After I eat something, I usually drink energy drink or Coca-Cola Zero. Just to tell my brain that I eat something sweet, but it's not sugar. Do you have any words for the people who voted Trump and claim they are for Ukraine? Telework. Yeah, like from the very beginning, it was understandable, judging on Trump's rhetorics, that he would not like to support Ukraine the way as previous administration of the United States supported. And in a way, I think Ukraine was lucky that there was the Joe Biden in the office by the time the war had started, because we didn't know what Obama could do, because Obama didn't really react that harsh during Crimean occupation. Donald Trump, he increased the support, sent few of the javelins, and he continued to say that I saved Ukraine with javelins. But the real help we obtained from Joe Biden's administration, and thanks God he was by the time there, and no one knew what could it be if Ukraine wouldn't obtain enough weaponry from the United States and surveillance data. What if Donald Trump was the president? Not sure how it would go. So Russia absolutely would not be able to conquer entire Ukraine, but they could occupy way more territories, including, for example, cities of Zaporizhia, Dnipro, Kherson, and Ukraine wouldn't be able to counterattack the way it did in Kharkiv Oblast, also in Kherson, in Chernigiv regions. It could be really different scenario. So thanks God we had good support from Americans, from Joe Biden. Now it's under the question, and Donald Trump himself stated even before the presidential race that he is not really interested in supporting Ukraine from military, that they spent our money for nothing, $350 billion. Now he is not saying that stuff any longer because he understood that what he was saying is just a bullshit, I guess, which was debunked many of the times. So for me, as for person, I know I'm not Trump supporter, but it was understandable that Donald Trump would follow that he follows now. I predicted it, let's say. Not just me, but many of the sane people around the internet. We expected that Donald Trump would do this stuff, and that is why we were really upset that he was elected. For Ukraine, it was a bad move, and now we see that for United States of America, it was the bad move too. Popular vote made it real. Yeah, like as I told you in some part of the stream, people voted for Donald Trump, like the same amount of people voted for Donald Trump as they voted for him during in 2020. Then Donald Trump lost, but less people voted for Kamala. That's the way how Donald Trump won. It's not because people voted more for Trump, it's because people voted less in general and less for Democrats. Not for Democrats, for Kamala. But I would never understand Trump supporters, like, what's the reason? I mean, these guys, Trump is completely mad, sick person with mental problems. It is visible from his caps lock posts, from the way he speaks. He opens the statue for himself. Everything is gold, everything is glamorous. I am the best out there, I am the best in every aspect, I am the best negotiator, I am the best blah blah blah. So with this narcissism, and somehow people still support him. I never understand people that were going to vote for Kamala Harris and horse cam team votes. It's your choice. For me, Kamala is way better choice compared to Donald. But you live out there in United States, so you vote. But we have to live with your Donald, every one of us. They voted for Trump for two reasons: economy and the clown show of the Democrats. Yeah. Do you have the plans for the future, Dennis? Yeah. We'll have the small vacation now. It's school holidays, and we're gonna go somewhere. Is their code strong here? Yeah. Right, guys, it's 9 p.m. for me, 9:02 already. It was a great live stream. We streamed for 2 hours with you. Sorry if I didn't answer lots of the questions. And we have good active, like roughly 1,000 viewers per stream, which is okay. And I'm gonna make those kind of the live streams each Sunday, I hope. We're gonna make a weekly recap, recent news, and answering the comments. I think it's very interactive and could be our daily, like every Sunday job. What else? And special thanks for those who supported me on the live stream with your super chat, with membership, with everything. Thank you guys, because you really keep me running. And obviously with your likes, subscription, then YouTube sees that you subscribe for the live stream, during the live stream or during watching my videos. YouTube just expands the video, shares it everywhere. I don't know why, but now it started to work like that. So if YouTube sees the engagement during the video, then you put the likes and subscribe, it shares it more. That's what was told by algorithms. That's what I mentioned. And guys, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.